Hey everybody, welcome to LILUG. We have really strict rules here. In order to be a member, there's a long drawn-out procedure. You have to show up once. So that's it. So if I'm glad you came. I wanted to do something a little more lighthearted and a little simpler and a little more fun. So I thought I'd do Minecraft talk. So let's get to it. All right. I'm going to use this microphone. Hopefully it's not deafening. I know I'm a little loud to start with. So this is about Minecraft mods in Linux, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is. And I don't know, how many people here are actively gaming on some platform? Okay, so some of you, not enough of you, but that's okay. Maybe you don't change it. So Minecraft is kind of fun in that Minecraft itself, if you don't know what it is, it's not an open source game, but it does run on Linux, and it's kind of an open world game where basically the goal is to survive and eventually to beat a series of bosses and to get to the end of the game. It's not really goal oriented, it's more about exploring. So that's a quick rundown on Minecraft. You'll see more of it. I'm hoping I can get a demo going. Yeah, no promises, but I do have pictures of pretty much everything in slides, so we can pretend like we're looking at the live thing, and it'll be much safer. All right. So who am I? I'm Matthew Newhall. I'm a Linux advocate. I'm a parent, and both of my sons really love Minecraft. And that's all I care about, you know. Right? I see some people screwing the slides. Watch this. Oh! You get to read the whole thing. You'll have to look it up online. By the way, this presentation will be available on warcloud.net /doc. So.
And the club and our group's website.
And LILUG will have a link. LILUG.org will have a link to it, and probably a video of this talk that can go up on YouTube. Odds are we'll be watching that. That's the goal, to put a video up on the net someplace. So what is LILUG? LILUG is a Long Island Linux users group. That's us. We are a federal nonprofit, so that's not really important unless you want to give us money. What's really important is that we all meet and talk about Linux and hang out, and that's all good. So, that was easy. All right, what is Linux? All right. You don't know what Linux is. You know what Linux is. So Linux is basically taking over the world. It's in cell phones. It's in TiVos, DVRs. It's probably running the telematic system in your car. Probably running in your television. It's likely running the web servers you're visiting. It may very well be running some of the mail servers that you're using, some of the DNS servers you're using. Your ISP probably uses them. Your firewall at home is probably using it. Basically everything that doesn't have a big shiny Apple on it or a big shiny Windows logo on it is probably running Linux underneath. So it's everywhere. The military is using it. It's in space. What is Linux? It's kind of the computer science reference model. I haven't got anyone to shout this from the hills, but I haven't got anyone to disagree with me either. It's a place where people share code for well-understood problems and for common problems, so where people can collaborate in a scientific way. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be for exploration. Sometimes it's just to get things done. Linux is published under the GNU public license, which is the GPL, which is a license that basically says you can do anything you want with this, but if you distribute it, you have to give the code away for free. So you can sell it, and you can sell services around it, but you can't port the code. You can't keep the code yourself. Unfortunately, Minecraft is not like that, but that didn't stop everybody who plays it from enjoying it. Also, really, internet collaboration is the key to Linux. Linux came about around the same time as the internet was really starting to get popular. So open source wasn't really possible possible when people had to mail each other tapes and discs and things, and around the early 90s is when things got started, and that's when it really took off because people could just download stuff. All right. So, what is Minecraft? This is Steve. He's a hero. It's a Java-based open world, and what it does is give it a seed, and from that seed it generates, as you move your character around in up or down or laterally in the world, it generates the world as you go, so it doesn't try to create the whole world at once. It does it in chunks. How fast your computer and how fast your graphics cards are will determine partly how fast it can display those chunks. Usually a high-end computer will just instantly display it, you won't even notice. But this is one of the beauty of Minecraft, is that it's intentionally pixelated. It actually looks old school because that way it'll run on a lot of stuff. And that was, I didn't find the quote, but there is a quote out there that was actually the intent. That's become less true over time. The platforms that it will run on have been increasingly more complex, but you still can run it on built-in 3D cards on a relatively new machine. This is, for instance, an Intel HD 2600? No, 5600? 5600. And it pretty much screams at it. So, forget about a dedicated NVIDIA or ATI graphics card. So, it has creative and survival mode. So, creative mode, you can basically use it like Legos. You can build whatever you want. Survival mode is pretty much about not getting blown up by a creeper or eaten by a spider or whatever. And they only come out at night, so you start at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of your first game, so you have a little bit of time to build a shelter. And if you don't know to build a shelter, you're inevitably eaten. So the goal is you mine. The reason it's called Minecraft is because you mine for ore and craft stuff with it. Something like mythical wilderness survival, and what I mean by that is, it's survival skills, quickly learning what things yield food. You can farm, you can fish, you can, different creatures have different food yields. It's kind of complicated, but it never seems like work. It's just fun. And it has shockingly scalable rules. This is kind of the cool thing for the geeks in the room. Some of the guys in Minecraft kind of blew their tops early on when, in an early version of Minecraft, someone built a completely replicated and early processor, an early computer processor, and since then people have done more complex ones and simulated hard drives, and the rules are shockingly consistent to an enormous scale, so you can build very complex devices inside of Minecraft, usually using redstone. That's their equivalent circuitry. All right. So, what is a Minecraft mod? So mods are pieces of code or modifications. They're usually made to run with a particular version of Minecraft. And here's where it gets tricky. So usually they're either a copy of components of other people's mods, so someone's already figured out how to do a mod, or someone uses MCP or mod coder packs, which is a kind of an open collaborated effort to reattach symbols to Java bytecode. I don't know to what degree they've helped them. I know they haven't hindered them, and they've openly welcomed the modding community. And of course, I'm not sure if that's going to change now because they were just bought by Microsoft. But it's been a few months and nothing bad has happened. A hole hasn't opened up in the earth and swallowed Minecraft. And they're just really being bug fixes right now, but we'll see. So typically most mods work with Minecraft Forge. You don't always need Minecraft Forge to make them work, but most modders now are writing their mods to do that. And of course, there's no warranties. It has a common with open source. So, any questions? By the way, I'll take questions in a while. Okay, so why install Linux? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just want to point out that they made it particularly easier to mod now because from within the launcher you can actually manage multiple installs, multiple versions of the game.
Right, and that's a very good point. And actually, I'm gonna get to that. You're on about slide 20. So, in your head. So, yeah, we'll keep going. Yeah, what he's talking about is that there's a loader system. It didn't used to have a loader system. It used to just be a jar that launched right into the game. And they superimposed the loader system. At first, I was very skeptical about what it was, and later realized how much easier it makes it to load mods. And one of the reasons why is you used to have to attach your mod inside of the jar file that was Minecraft. You would have to go and install that stuff, and if there was like a scope error or a conflict or a bad coding practice, Minecraft would crash. And this is one of the things you're going to learn to deal with if you're experimenting with Minecraft mods. You will crash. So just accept it. Vanilla Minecraft will not crash that often, but yes, modern Minecraft will crash again. Not always. It varies from computer to computer. So, why install Linux? All right. So this is the pitch, and this is what I'm trying to. This is really the hook into LILUG, and I want you guys to understand why it's important that we do this with Linux. You can just install mods in Windows, but I'm just going to ignore these slides. You can't really install mods in Windows, but the problem is the audience for Minecraft mods is young people who usually don't know about computer security yet. And the problem is there's a lot of predator sites out there. Not like SVU predators, but hacker predators trying to take over computers who know this, buy Minecraft domains, and put up viruses and trojans, and at least annoyware. So at the least, if you're not very careful, you're going to end up with annoyware. So there's a nice advantage when you're experimenting with something like this in Linux. So typically that annoyware will be binaries that will auto-run because you already accepted it, or because you clicked it unknowingly because it looks like it's named something from Minecraft, but you don't know what the versions of the names look like yet. And all of a sudden you've given permission for this thing to be installed on your computer, and it's taking it over and giving you a hard time, and you're dropping your computer off at a tech center for a month and losing out on the time and the money. And then you curse your kids for playing Minecraft and warn all the parents. This is starting to sound a bit like Footloose, but I'm here to stop it because it's crazy. All right, just spin up a Linux CD, install Linux on an old computer, download the mods there. Minecraft will run on fairly old hardware. It won't run gracefully, but it will run. And try the mods out on there. That's the way to do it. If you do that, you can experiment with any mod you want and not worry about getting a single virus or a single Trojan. There are no wild viruses for Linux. There are Trojans, that does happen. It's very, very rare, and it's definitely none that I've heard of or seen in the Linux space. So, just by using a different platform than everybody else is using, other than Apple or Windows, you're preventing yourself from getting taken advantage of if you click the wrong link. Okay. I know a couple of parents in my neighborhood who have had problems, so this is not fiction, this is real. So let's not give North Korea any more botnet computers. Thanks. I think that sums it up. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Does anybody want to argue with me? This is a great time. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Is it, about protecting yourself and using an alien platform to whatever the aggressive code you're running on. If you get a Minecraft mod that isn't a mod, and it's an exe for Windows that's possible, it's just not going to run in Linux. It just won't work. And Minecraft won't recognize it as a mod. It won't run. I got quite a few mods that didn't work. Some of them I'm sure were version controlled, but a couple of them, when I did there's a command in Unix called file. There's a file on them. They're a Windows executable. That wasn't a Minecraft mod. So yeah, don't just trust Google. Yeah. That is, thank you. That is the right question, but I haven't gotten there yet. We'll get there. I'll show you. So there are tons of sources of Minecraft mods, and the worst part is that I would say the majority of them have something that's a legitimate Minecraft texture pack or mod or something up on the site someplace. So they know that, if people just say scam, 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 they're not going to go anywhere. So, and then people will take advantage of that and mooch off of each other. There's really not that much of a community in the sense of a group of sane actors not trying to get each other's computers hacked. So this is a way to avoid being sucked into the negative side of it. Okay, why mods in Minecraft and Linux? So mods are fun. People have come up with everything known to man to run on Minecraft. I mean, dinosaurs, portal guns, spaceships, you name it. So it's really kind of twisted its dick. In fact, it's spun up whole groups of games that I hadn't seen anything like it before. Like I think Roblox got some of its inspiration from another one popular with kids, where you can play open, you can build open games with other people. People build games inside of Minecraft for other people all the time. So, for instance, there's a lot of people who will play like an arena type game where they'll utilize the rules from Hunger Games, and they'll kill each other off until the last one's there, complete with lightning and mini cities and stockpiles of goods where everybody has to kill each other to get to them. And there's a lot. We couldn't possibly do it justice. There are a million hours of YouTube videos on YouTube of Minecraft mods. So Minecraft is very similar in spirit to open source, and it kind of bugs me that it never went open source, and we'll get into why in a minute. I think it has to do with the company and their decisions. But people just said, hey, this is awesome, and they were encouraging people to mod it, so they did, and there's just an amazing amount of work into working with up and down the spectrum of skills. Tiny little things like just changing the names of things, all the way up to people doing full-blown music videos and people building entire game logic inside of Minecraft to build a separate game inside of it. And of course, it runs on Linux, and it's run on Linux since the beginning, more or less, so that's convenient. And Linux is secure, like I mentioned, and Minecraft and Linux also have something else in common, which is they can both run on older hardware. So if you have an older PC that you're willing to dedicate to gaming, your performance is not going to be stellar, but if it's the past 5 years, it'll work. And of course, Linux is open source, but we're fans of that here. So it's Minecraft open source. So this is a quote I found on the net. It could just be a lie. There's a lot of rumor and innuendo around the developers of Minecraft and what they said. I don't think it's a lie. I think it's a real quote. So basically, he trashes the GPL, which is what the LGPL, which is what Linux is under. But I don't want that to discourage you because it's kind of a different problem. Minecraft is a game. People do it for fun. The post office doesn't stop delivering mail. Yes, the post office uses Linux. If it fails, if it fails, we just don't play a game for a little while until you figure it out. So it's really it's a different audience. Oh, and it's $30. So if you're gonna install Minecraft on Linux and you don't have Linux yet, you have to figure out how to install Linux. No, I'm not going to do the whole thing. There's plenty of intro to Linux talks. I gave one. There's a ton of videos out there. But I'll give you the basics and blast through it, and that way you have some kind of idea. So you need to choose a distro. There are hundreds. I'm going to make it really easy for you to give you two choices. Ubuntu and Fedora are basically the most popular ones. Most distros have something in common with them, if not flat out derived from them. So choose one. Download the ISO file of the latest version of it. So this is important. Google will be right here. So you can generally just go on Google and type in Fedora latest version .iso, and you'll get the ISO for the latest version. Unless something really heinous has happened to Google, which is fine. It's always you use data, keep it careful. And you could burn it to DVD, right? So have a DVD handy, burn it to the DVD, boot the DVD. You have to answer like 5 questions, and then you can get to work on downloading Minecraft, installing it, and adding modules. Couldn't be simpler. It really is a very simple install. If you're not at all familiar with Linux, and you are familiar with Windows, Windows has gotten a lot easier in the past decade or so. Part of the reason it's gotten easier to install out of the box is because Linux is easy to install out of the box, and it was computed. So Apple, I have no idea. They just shipped the hardware. They're not even supporting their old versions anymore, so whatever. Okay, Ubuntu. This is an example of Ubuntu install screen, giving you an opportunity to try or install it. All right, this is really simple. I mean, you big pictures. It's really simple. You have to make about 5 decisions. One of the first ones is, hey, what do I want to install this or not? Or do I just want to try it and use it as a random? So it will be slower if you do that. I would say don't do try Ubuntu install it because your performance is going to be too slow. Fedora, so this is an example of what Fedora looks like. This is a little further in the install procedure. Install procedures are more or less the same. They have a little bit of a different flavor, but that's it. Really, this is a few choices. I'm going to walk over this. We have installation destination. What software you want to put on it? Default is fine. It's very easy to change later. You're not locked in. It's not a licensing. Oh, you pick server. You're stuck with that until you reinstall the machine. No, you can change it any which way you want. Installation source. Don't have to change anything. Date and time. You're on your own. Keyboard. You're on your own. And network configuration. Usually, you either assign an IP address. If you don't do anything there, I think it defaults to DHCP for most of it. Couldn't be easier. Or you can just do it in Windows. Please, if you do it in Windows, make sure your antivirus is up to date and go to windowsupdate.com and update your system. Most of the newer versions of Windows will default to auto update. But if you don't know if you shut it off, go to windowsupdate.com. You'll regret it. You don't. Okay. So, speaking of updating, this is how you update Fedora. It's a program. You launch the program. Then, once the program is launched, it'll sit there and spin for a few minutes. You click that, and then it updates your system. Or you can type yum update to turn on the phone. That's it. Do it. This is how Linux machines get hacked. So Linux machines will get hacked if they're not hacked. Just like anything else. Updating Ubuntu. You launch an app, it spins for a while, it comes back and it gives you a screen that looks like this, and then you click here. That's it. And then you just do an apt-get update or apt-get upgrade, and your system is patched when it's done. Okay, so there was supposed to be a slide in between here that says, let's get to the business of installing Minecraft. Something ate it. I don't know what happened. Sorry. So, let's get to the business of installing Minecraft. Click download Oracle Java. And so you just go to Oracle's page. I'm actually putting the URL from here in case you can't see. That's oracle.com. So you can just get it right there. Linux does come with a Java. It's an open source Java called OpenJDK. It's excellent for most things, but high performance things like video games don't necessarily work. In the case of Minecraft, it doesn't and it's not recommended. Anyone want to contradict me? Did I work on OpenJDK? Okay. Some people in this room know their business, so I was afraid I was going to get shut down there. JRE is fine. JDK will work also. Actually, any of the Java products will work. Really, all you're looking for is a Java directory with the subdirectory of bin and the command Java in it. That's all you need to do this. It comes with a lot of extra stuff. In this case, I actually suggested downloading the tarball because I was using an example of, I used the hardest case here. So, if you look at the bottom, you can use, you're gonna hit the extract button on that GUI when you open up the .tar.gz file, and it'll show you all these files and directories. And usually people will put that in user share. Occasionally people put it in user Java. There's 100 places people could put it. If you're running Fedora, you can use an RPM file. All you have to do is double click on that and it'll install it for you, and you won't have to see any of this. And if you want, there's also a .bin file or a .bin file. It's not on the slide anywhere. But in that previous screen, you should be able to download it from here. Excuse me. And the .bin file will automatically install in your system. And then Java should change to your Java for this to be installed from on-call. If it doesn't, you may need to define the path, which is this thing, user share, and then would be Java and bin, and then Java again. And the final Java is actually, the final Java is actually executable. Maybe go through the work. Okay, so you got Java going. Now you have to download Minecraft. So this is Minecraft's download page. There are actually fake Minecraft download pages out there. So it should probably look just like this. And it should say Minecraft.net. If it doesn't, it's not the right one. So this one's a little harder to mess up than the mods, but you know, the fourth or the fifth hit on Google are fake sites, so be careful. Oh, look at that. I included instructions about the path. So you can see at the bottom here, at the very bottom of the screen, it says user share, JRE dash, that star means wildcard, means whatever that happens to be. So currently 8.1. Is that right? 8.1? And bin Java, and then Minecraft.jar. So Minecraft is an executable, but it's a Java executable, so it needs the Java program to run it. So that's why you have Java and then Minecraft.jar. Oh yeah, Minecraft's not free. So, this is a nutball. Thank you, Bill. Sorry, I just had a cold. All right, so so you can create a new Mahong account. Mahong? I don't know. How do people pronounce that? Mojang, sorry. Yeah, it's too obvious. Mojang account. So you can just, I would never tell you to lie about your birthday. But you're going to need a credit card to your right. If it's a kid, if you're underage, you're going to need parent permission anyway. Anyway, so it's just, you just pay once. It's not like a continuing fee. It's not a service. You create an account, and that account is yours. So, and that account becomes your token or your right to play Minecraft. So the Minecraft program sits in your computer, but it checks in with the server every time you launch the program and says, hey, I'm going to play Minecraft now. It says, oh, okay, you paid, and then it left you. Sounds a little spooky, and actually there were some problems with security. They recently revamped in the 1.7 series. They're on 1.8 now on Minecraft. In the 1.7 series, they updated the security model to UUIDs, which is much more secure. It used to be usernames, so that wasn't stuff. First it was first your handle or your name in the game with your ID. Then it was your email address, and then it became your UUID. And now it's UUID in the background for everything. So. Okay, you did it. You installed Minecraft. Yes.
Is there any like offline only mode, or is it always, you always have to be online to connect?
Oh, good point. So yeah, Minecraft will work offline. I think maybe the very first time it might need to be online that you run it, but after that it'll just try for a few seconds, give up, and say, "Do you want to play offline mode?" And it'll let you. So, but if you're on the internet, it wants to check in with Minecraft and make sure you pay. But you can't. As long as everybody's logged in once, I think you can play in a private network without any internet access. This is actually 20. Wow, that's pretty. Rocco, actually, I was right. It was 20. So I don't know how I do that, but I'm not sure I should be proud of that either. So this is a launcher. This is kind of new to Minecraft. The past few major versions have had this, and before that it didn't have anything. This is actually my username, Tangpong. I'm showing my age. This part here, this profile, is actually going to be kind of important. This is local to whatever computer you're on at the moment. So, and it correlates to the profile header. So we'll get back to that later. Oh, and look, in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see it tells you what version you're on. Okay, and this is the title screen. Again, this is seems very anticlimactic, but this might be a little important later. This right here is the current version. There will be more information here later. So. All right. See ya. What, you want to keep going? Okay, now we can start getting a little geeky. So, all right, so here's some of the lingo, and if you haven't played Minecraft, or if you're a parent trying to get this going for their kids, you may not know what the heck all this stuff means. So mods are modifications. Mobs, which sounds distressingly like mods, is mobile creatures. Mods are usually more complicated than other mods, but not necessarily. And mods are very popular, but there's other mods that aren't mods. Anyway, hope I made that nice and okay for it. Resource packs are drop-ins. They don't necessarily have to just be texture packs. In fact, there's a bunch of different kinds. I'm not sure if you can do a whole game as a resource pack, but I suspect you might. And of course, jars are program files, like I mentioned. Yes, Rocco.
Yeah, so the resource packs are just alternate graphics and sound files.
Just sound files and graphics. Okay. All right. So you know, technically, resource packs are supported by Minecraft. So they're allowed, encouraged. You don't have to change Minecraft itself to make that work. And of course, a server is a place where people greet each other. Griefers are people who are basically trolling each other for older lingo people on Minecraft servers. Very sorry. So, these are some of the remote servers that my kids play on. This is a good example, probably one of the second easiest thing that you can do to change your Minecraft around. These are actually all pretty advanced servers, so I'm not really sure how they did it, but unlike when you do it yourself, when you play a remote server, they can have some pretty extensive modifications within the server, and you can be playing vanilla Minecraft at your house. A couple of warnings about remote servers. I don't have it in there now. Generally speaking, I would say if you are being accused of cheating, I would just leave. I've actually had a couple problems with the kids where someone was cheating, and I don't know how they did it, but made it look like it was one of my kids, who definitely don't have the skills yet to cheat. So, if you get kicked, I would just stay kicked. These are big public servers with a lot of random people. Not everybody, you know, this is a very popular game with kids. They don't always have ethics about right and wrong. It's just about what they can accomplish. And I'm totally down with them exploring it. It's sad when it happens to a 4-year-old. You never know who's on the other side. On the other hand, it's really funny when a 4-year-old beats a mini game with 20 people in that one. I don't have the heart to tell them. So, we'll talk about resource packs. Yeah, I actually made this as a typo. That was supposed to be texture packs. They're typically texture packs in Minecraft. Most of the resource packs that you're going to mess around with are going to be texture packs. So, if you want to experiment with texture packs, you've got to download them. And of course, we're starting to get into the space now where you might download something that actually turns out to be an executable intended to attack your machine. If you're in Linux, you don't have to worry. If you're in Windows, you might be thinking about what I said earlier. So this is the best site. It looks very unimpressive, unspectacular compared to the other Minecraft sites. I have not found anything bogus up on this site. This looks like it's legitimately Minecraft community people trying to help each other and make downloads available for each other. There's a ton of stuff up here, and there's a ton of sites that look just like them. In fact, I think there's others with numbers in the name, and people mess around with the order, the letters, and there's other variants on other sites that are somewhat helpful, but have some unfortunate downloading software that you can easily mistakenly click and so forth. So I would say just go to minecraft.net. You should be able to get everything you need there. I did mess around with other versions I couldn't find up on here, but I never ended up succeeding when I did that. So something to keep in mind. So a typical download screen, you can see the sexy ads at the bottom. This one's actually pretty benign. It's just some graphics, and that you would probably be smart enough not to click on. You can click on the button marked download. Sometimes you'll get some of the other sites. If you do venture to the other sites, you'll get a bunch of stuff here. It'll wait a few seconds, and you get a download link up here. Sometimes there'll be multiple links up here, and one of them will work, and the others will be ads. It's terrible. So, I happen to know from the way that ad servers work, that the ad server companies don't always have tight control on their ad servers. So even if the ad company is completely on the up and up, and the site is completely on the up and up, someone can hack one of the ad servers to serve up malicious code as an ad. And of course, nobody, half of the people using these sites are kids, so they don't have no idea what's going on, and who to warn, and how to contact a system and say, hey, your server's hacked. No fault of their own. Still learning. So, Minecraft directories. So we need to find where to put this stuff. So typically, everything will be based in a Minecraft-based directory. It'll be home, whatever your username is. Username is not literal. And .minecraft in Linux. This is typically how it's laid out in Linux. This is Windows. It's a little small, you probably can't see it, so I'll fill it out. C, users, in this case it's my son Sebastian. Act data, roaming, and then it's .minecraft here. So if you were wondering what that dot is, in Unix, the dot means hidden directory. So it's actually a very Unixy feel from the Minecraft people in-house, when they're developing this. They're using Unix traditions, even though they don't necessarily mean anything in Windows. That's set in permissions. It isn't part of the environment. You can ignore the last two directories on there. We'll use them later. But the last directory, which is mods, this is actually a list of mods. Okay, so this talk was kind of pieced together in different places. So I did all the graphics in one shot and then moved on to the next step. But if this was actually resource packs with a space in the name, that would be the directory that you want to put your resource packs in. Yes?
Getting to that folder on Windows is actually quite an issue. That app data folder is a hidden folder.
That's correct. Thank you. Very good point, Rocco. And so yeah, it's a hidden folder, and you may have to go into the preferences in your and this is Windows Explorer, or something called now. I think it's still Windows Explorer. And you have to go to the preferences and go in there and choose to be able to see hidden folders and files. And if you don't do that, you won't be able to see that. Now, if you type it out without doing that, it will appear. But you have to go all the way to .minecraft. You won't be able to browse your way there. You have to type it in the URL bar at the top. So. I think roaming shows, but then Minecraft doesn't. It's set up as a, I know, it was weird. I don't know. Unfortunately, I'd love to tell you what the pattern was, but I only installed this on a couple of Windows computers. And actually, this is a good point. So we're a cross-platform house in my house. We're running a Linux server, a couple of Linux clients, and a couple of Windows clients. So what I did is I did all the development of the Linux clients, and then I copied the stuff that I knew worked on those Windows clients. So no, I'm not being a hypocrite here. I really did do what I said, I just did the Linux side first. And once I was verified that it worked, then I felt confident that I could put this stuff on Windows without it blowing up and me doing a reinstall. Okay, so inside of the game, this is a resource pack dialog. Just one quick thing. When you hover, this is from hovering the mouse over this spot right here. When you hover the mouse over these different texture packs, it will move them either, this is kind of like the loading dock, and this is in use. And you probably want to load all the ones you want to load, and you can load multiple texture packs. Some texture packs will only have some things. So it might just be trees, or it might just be buildings, or it might just be mobs. It will put things in the order that they're placed in. So if you have a great texture pack missing a few things, you can add in a second one, and it'll fill in the mobs with those. So let's take a quick look. This is stock Minecraft. That's how it looks. Kind of pixelated, you know. You can tell what everything is, but it's not specifically pretty. We're actually inside of a tree created by the Instant Map Destruction mod. This is one of the mods we talked about. And here it is with the Silent Hill skin, my older son's favorite. And this is with a high resolution but true to native format. So you can see that, you know, the differences are not super clear on here because, you know, it's a shrunk down image. But the point is that by changing those files, you can change the look of it. The mechanics of the game have not changed at all. But for instance, let's say you find that particularly hard to see a particular block, you could switch to a texture pack where that block is easy to see. Okay. Now for the main event, modding Minecraft. All right, so the kids had a bunch of mods they wanted, and I made them whittle it down, and eventually we settled on 3. And the 3 we settled on were Lucky Blocks, Mutant Creatures, and Instant Structures. And I like these 3 because of this. Because the Lucky Blocks give you a bunch of higher level pieces that are harder to find until later on in the game. They're kind of more end game content, as they say over at Minecraft. So the Mutant Creatures are actually kind of dangerous. They're very difficult to fight. And if you don't have any equipment, you're probably going to die. And they will spawn in random once you've loaded the mod. So that's one of the things to think about here is some mods will change the gameplay of the game when you're in survival mode. So, you know, you might want to keep your world separate. And instant structures, which of course is easy safety, you can do a simple recipe on a crafting table which builds a skyscraper, which actually is then infested with monsters shortly. But there are safer structures that you can build, like that treehouse that will actually protect you. So I thought this was a pretty reasonable balance between being killed and surviving. So it didn't really change the overall play of the game, other than to make it more fun and diverse. And by the way, those 3 mods are some of the most popular ones on YouTube. Some people make a regular job of showcasing mods on YouTube, and those are the ones with the most hits. So there's a ton of them out there. All right, so this is the okay. So this is there's another missing slide. The first thing we have to do to start modding Minecraft is actually install Forge. I mentioned it briefly. Forge is a development environment with lots of different little pieces that just kind of go. So all you have to do is install Forge, and it takes care of all that stuff for you. This is where you would want to download Forge from on non-Minecraft sites. So we talked briefly about the Minecraft loader screen. So the Minecraft loader screen, remember where I pointed at the bottom left-hand corner where it profiles? So the first thing you have to do is go into profiles and make a profile for every major version of interest. The 2 I would recommend is the latest version of 1.8, or maybe like 1.8.0, and definitely 1.7.10. There's a ton of mods out there for 1.7.10. And it seems like that's what the modders are focused on at the moment. It will probably change in the future, but as of May in 2015, that's what we want to do. Okay, so, make your coffee. In your .minecraft directory, there's a folder called Save. That's where all your worlds are. So, you know, My World 1, My World 2, My World 3. So I would back that up, because sometimes putting mods in will cause those worlds to crash and make them unusable. And likewise, once you play them with mods, they may never play right without mods again. So they become, all the things that were mods that are in the game become like unknown data types in Minecraft 3.10. Sometimes it works around it. It's surprisingly resilient for continuing to run while going haywire, but eventually it falls over. So, of course, I'm talking about mods. Okay. I know what that's about. So that last line's a little obscure. It's intentionally obscure. So it used to be, back in the day, rather than using Forge, Minecraft would actually be minecraft.jar, and that's the binary that would run, that was the actual game. So when you would put, you would actually have to open that jar, get a jar file editor, open that jar file, and put the mods in the jar. And this would just completely blow off. I mean, by the time you put 4 or 5 mods in, it was just wouldn't run anymore. So now we have this system where just Forge is the only native mod in it, and it provides an interface for all the mods to attach to Minecraft. I think that's part of the result of that development effort I was talking about before. So there's some hints in here if you're a little more advanced in thinking about writing mods for Minecraft. Just hints. Okay, I got the loader. So yeah, so this is it right here. So I didn't actually make a slide showing you how to do it. You just go in here and you just create new profile, and you can tell it, you know, I want to run 1.7.10, and then you say save, and then this will appear in the pull-down box. You go 1.7.10 and click play, and it will start downloading all the binaries that are specific to 1.7.10. And that's how, and you want to do that before you even start to install Forge. It won't be, it's not the end of the world if you forget, but Forge will remind you and say, hey, you've never run 1.7.10, and it needs you to do that because it needs Minecraft to download the binary for itself. So it needs to modify that binary with Forge. Does that make sense? Okay. So a quick little thing on how file versions work, if you've never seen them before. This is the major version, 1. 7 is the lesser major version. So I think 1.6 was the worst update. It was 1.7. Do you remember? Okay. They named each of the updates. So each of the smaller major versions is another feature set added into Minecraft. And then after that are the minor versions of Forge. So 10 is also Minecraft that says this is a bug fix or revision release. So this means we found mistakes in this 10 times, and this is what we think is current. And these numbers all left here are Forge's numbers. This is actually, again, starting from what's major to what's minor. This is not weird. This is actually something from the open source world, and even before that, the Unix world. This kind of filing scheme. So there is order to the madness. Also, I just put this in here just in case you decided to try to replicate what I did exactly, in case you have problem crashes, so you can at least see the file size. No, they don't usually post MD5 sums, which would be irresponsible behavior. But sorry, MD5 sums are kind of a quick fix to verifying the file is what you expect it to be. It usually works. It's statistically likely that it's going to work. Okay, so this is the client. As you can see, it's incredibly difficult to navigate. Control client. Okay. So, and if you follow the links on the site, it tells you which versions to go with. Okay. Now, this is a little off. This will not say 7 mods loaded and 7 mods active. This will say 3 mods loaded and 3 mods active after you install Forge. But other than that, this is true of what it'll look like when you successfully install Minecraft things for just 3 months. Oh, almost forgot. So if we go back here, in this little pull-down box, now you'll have, in my case, I would have a tank pong, a 1.7.10, and I'd have a 1.7.10-forge. So it does that for you. And that's the one you want to load, obviously. Okay. So these are the files that I found that eventually work together. This doesn't look impressive. This just looks like a boring list of files. There was actually a lot of work to find 4 that worked well together. I was bouncing around in the 1.8. I was bouncing around in the 1.7.2s, 6s, 10s. It seems like 1.7.10 is where people are focusing the most effort. So, and these particular 4 work. There is another one called instant structures, which has completely different instant structures. What it does is it builds huge buildings without having to lift a finger, rather than to do it in the game. And this is actually, animation is currently not being updated in the latest version of Minecraft, which is the reason we are on 1.7.10. So this is actually important. This is going to be the most popular mod that anybody's going to want to play. It's quite excellent. It has these enormous mutant creatures that are much more fun to fight and spawn other little creatures, and you know, they're like, it's like adding 4 bosses to the game. So, and of course, Lucky Block mod. This is actually pretty flexible. There's a lot of different versions of it. Probably partly because it's one of the less complex ones. Yes?
And you found that to work, is this a combination of mods or is it a combination of mods on your system? Like if you were to try to set a mod up in the system with that?
So yeah, that's a good question. You're probably going to have to experiment. So for me, the thing that did it was I wanted this combination of mods to work. And actually had to be flexible. I had to go with my second choice instead of the instant structures mod, I had to go with the instant massive structures mod. That was my second choice. And actually Lucky Blocks was my second choice. There was another Lucky Blocks mod I was looking at that couldn't get to work with the other stuff. And someone else had also made a mod called Lucky Blocks. I'm sorry, it's not my fault. Anyway. Maybe it's the same person, I don't know. It's very confusing with it.
So the second part of the question is going to be, you know, there are combinations that work, but if they're different and they work on one system and not another, then it's kind of pointless.
You're looking at it. That's it. This is one of the reasons I wanted to do this talk, because I wanted to give people like a kind of a, because you can easily do all the right things, get all the pieces you think should work together, and go mad, and say, it doesn't work, all the instructions are bunk, and there's a lot of old broken instructions or incomplete instructions on that. So I wanted to have a set of instructions, particularly for parents that are like semi-technical, not quite power users, but not fools either, you know, in the middle somewhere where they know some things about their computer, they want to help their kids, but they would do everything right and then just hit a wall and go, why? Oh, you know, of course I don't do that. So, congratulations, you've got mutant creatures on your system. Oh, but we're not done. So, if you were just wanting to run this on one computer, we'd be done. And with that, I'm not going to stop here because I'm going to talk real quick about running a Minecraft server on Linux. So you almost definitely want to run a Minecraft server on Linux. Why wouldn't you? Because it's just so much easier to run a Linux machine in the background, simply coming along, creating a Minecraft world for people to play together on, right? You know, it tends to be the spare computer, the leftover one, the one that you retired and brought back to life, maybe the one you tested all these mods on. So, all right, so it's a little different structure. If you're already running a Minecraft server, it creates a directory called world in the .minecraft directory. So you want to make sure to back that up. You only get one world. It's not like in the GUI thing where you have saves and you have a whole bunch of saves. It's just the one, so move it aside, and it'll generate a new one. And of course, you're going to need to run the version that you intended. So you're going to have to find 1.7.10 on a Minecraft site and download it. It's actually not that hard. If you've gotten this far, you can handle it. Quick introduction to some Linux tools. Nano is a really easy to use editor. VI is a not so easy to use editor that is everywhere. It's not as bad as it used to be in the Unix days. I just wanted to tell you about both of them. You probably want to use Nano. These are actually files. So ops and whitelist are UUIDs. So it's a parentheses group of information about a person. So you get like the username, the UUID, a couple other things in there. If you put them in ops, they're an operator and they can be an admin of the system and make things happen, like put a person in God mode, take them out, you know, delete things, create things. Whitelist is who can go on. You have two modes you can run a Minecraft server in. One is in whitelist mode, which is the default mode, which is the preferred mode if you're actually going to be the internet. Otherwise, anyone, random person can jump on your server and start griefing all your stuff, which would be bad. If you're running a Minecraft server, you must set EULA equals true and EULA.text. That's how you agree to the license, or it won't run. It'll tell you that, but just a warning, it might not, if you're running it under tenant, you might not realize it for a while. And server.properties is a big file with lots of stuff in it. I was actually going to talk at length about that. Oh. No, there's a server.text. I'm not going to go into it. Most of it you don't care about, most of the defaults are fine. The main variable that you care about is setting it into allowing when to go into server mode. That would be how I'd recommend running it at first on a private network. Get it, then using commands within Minecraft. Minecraft has a command line. You can type / inside of Minecraft and give it commands. So you can set the time, you can create an entity, whatever, and you can also do things like add person to a whitelist. So you can do this inside the running Minecraft server as an op, and then it'll just populate those files for you. It's a lot easier than trying to type all that stuff, and it's very typo prone. It's not quite a sendmail config file, but it's getting there. So if you're not familiar with SSH, SSH is secure shell. This is also a good trick for your OS X box. If you have an OS X box, you can log into it remotely using a terminal. If you know how to control your computer using a terminal. You really don't need to do anything except run the Minecraft server here. So you want either -y or -x is going to be needed here. You need a graphical interface, and then you'll get a graphical window just like the one we saw before. Let's go back. This one, but now we're going to say install server. That's the difference. And the way that once we've got the SSH session open, we just run Java, -jar, Forge, whatever. And as long as you run 1.7.10 before, it will add the Forge stuff to your 1.7.10 version. Does that make sense? If I blown up the deep end here? Okay, cool.
I have a question. You were talking about whitelist or default. I'm assuming blacklist is the other way?
Then, yeah, you can do a blacklist as well. But the thing is, whatever, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, someone who's up to serious trouble, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all to find that someone can easily root exploit, or use or exploit your computer from a Minecraft server if you just let random strangers in. So, there's a ton of stuff in Minecraft. There's probably something you missed. So I would say friends and people you know. The guys who run the professional servers do it. Kudos to them. Kudos to anyone else who's willing to put the time and the energy into it. I'm not one of those people. And I kind of aim to talk at someone who's not one of those people. You know who you are. If you think you can handle it, and allowing any random person to come into your Minecraft server, that's great. But I'll tell you, if you do this with vanilla Minecraft or just Minecraft with a few mods, it's just a matter of time before someone comes and wrecks all your stuff. Whatever you spent time building, your castles and your ships and your boats and your mazes and your rail lines, and you're gonna come back to a world filled with 10,000 creepers. The lag itself will make your server catch fire. It's time to run the server. All right, you've installed Forge. We put our mods in the mod directory, just like we described before. Same as you do for the client. There'll be a mod. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this. This is for server or client. when you install Forge, it creates a mods directory. So that directory is the directory we want to put the mod. If you don't have a mod directory, it means you didn't run Forge, most likely. So you want to run Forge. If you go back enough versions of Minecraft, then that may not be true, but then Forge may not run, and your life's going to be a lot harder anyway, so good luck. Bon voyage. So up here is a command, I repeated 3 times, but the screen is a really convenient thing. What it does is it opens up if you open up a terminal and you run Minecraft, it runs in the foreground, and then when you close your terminal, the Minecraft server will crash too. So you'll have to leave a monitor up on your Minecraft server, which is silly. You can use something called screen. So you SSH in, you type screen, and then it creates another copy of kind of like an isolated terminal that's not attached to a session or a screen or anything like that, and it'll run in the background indefinitely. So this is how I recommend doing it, because you can also go to that foreground session using a screen-R at a later time. So you have to take back in, type screen-R, and boom, you're right back in the screen, and now you can send op commands without having to do any of the whitelist ops file stuff. So that's actually, usually the first op, that's how you do it. You add yourself in, grant tank pong op status or something, I don't remember what command it is, and boom, you're in, and then you're in that file, and now you can let other people in from inside the game. So, and then when you're ready to run the command, the final command to run the program, in my case, I gave it 4 gigs of memory, is my Forge. My Forge stuff that I have. All my kids do. I foolishly did not include a picture of how badly they decimated the world. And because the mutant creature creates almost like an atomic blast when it blows up, and it's the new definition of chaos. Maybe we can reproduce it here. Okay, I think that's it. There was supposed to be a question slide, but I can just say it. Questions?
Is this your world? It's nice.
Yeah. this is the 8,000-bit texture pack. This is one block. This is, it's a square. No questions? Okay. So, does anybody want me to try to do a demo and do a live install of mod? It might take a while. I'm not sure. You want to try it, or give a little bit of? Okay. You know what? Maybe we'll come back to it another time. There was another little mini talk that was going to come after this. Rocco wanted to do a mini talk.
Yeah, show a server now.
Okay, yeah, Rocco's got a server that he wants to run, so if you guys want to see that. Okay, great. Thank you.